So welcome, Sara. This is a bit of a teaser for people who are thinking about coming to this year's conference in Wellington in New Zealand, and that's happening in October 12th, 13th. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, very
And
exciting.
yeah, I'm doing a bit of a series with all of our speakers, and you're one of our wonderful speakers coming along. And I'm very interested to hear a little bit about what you are going to talk about. So, people who might be looking at hypnotherapy as a career or just looking to add some more tools to their toolkit, why it might be a good idea to get a seat and sit there and listen to what you have to offer. You've got quite an interesting background in the way of working with children and why you started doing that. Would you like to just introduce a little bit about yourself and then we can go from there?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess like originally I trained as a teacher, so the whole idea of working with young people and, right from the age of 3 all the way up to 15, I've kind of worked with as a teacher. Um, and I loved being a teacher. I really loved working, one-to-one with kids and helping them learn and grow. But there was always in the back of my mind this idea that there was so much more potential. And often they weren't connected to their kind of like bigger potential. They're always, not always, but they often had this kind of like almost like a dome around them, around what they, expected of themselves or thought that they were able to achieve. And a lot of the time that I was teaching was really working on that mind shift of you can achieve anything you want to. It's just, finding out how to do it. If someone else can do it, then you can do it. And so I had lots of lovely interactions with kids through my teaching career. And then when I came to New Zealand, I didn't teach for a while because it was quite a difficult process to transition from the UK to New Zealand and teach in this bicultural setting. So I started working in all sorts of different areas, in marketing, in HR, and training adults, which was a nice kind of diversion. And in that, I found that I loved just working with people on that one-to-one and really helping them to develop their, their passions and that kind of uniqueness inside. And then it came back kind of to working with kids again. So, and the whole reason I got into hypnosis was when my son, Jake, was diagnosed with leukemia. And we had this kind of conversation before around, how I could help him and get him to the point where he felt really confident in, taking his medication, feeling confident to get through the process and all of those kind of things. And it was at that time that I decided to train as a hypnotherapist because he had this wonderful experience of going to a hypnotherapist and it being so beneficial for him. And, in that moment, I thought I need to know how to do this. And I realized, I had been doing hypnosis for a long time, kind of without knowing I was. I'd read, self-hypnosis books, in my 20s and 30s, and I'd applied a lot of the kind of knowledge. And so it all kind of came together, working with children, accessing this inner part of their mind so that they could achieve their full potential. And Jake was a lovely catalyst for that, in that he, I was able to help him while learning myself about how I could help all sorts of other children and adults. And that's kind of basically how I got into setting up my practice. And in the beginning, like most hypnotherapists, I think we could just go, I'm just going to be a hypnotherapist and see who turns up. But very quickly, with that, background in working with children started turning up. And, worked with a few different children, had such fun because I think if you work with children, you have to be a little bit of a child at heart too. So I can be a bit silly. And I loved just bringing that silliness out, connecting with that imagination that kids have. And I found that we could solve their problems so much easier by using their imagination. than we could by, logically telling them to, be more confident, or work harder, or not be anxious about something, or not worry about that. With the imagination, we had the ability to go right inside to connect to who they are, at that core. And once they had that, they kind of became invincible. It's a lovely kind of feeling, seeing a kid go, yes, I can do anything, I can do whatever I want. So that's why I got really passionate about it. And then I wrote a course called Positive Young Minds, which I've got, I think we're on the 4th cohort of that at the moment, which is fabulous. And as part of that, there's, for quite a few different protocols that I use with children. But yeah, it really came down to this idea of being able to work with children in a way that's safe, that doesn't, traumatize them or make them feel, worried about anything. And so I developed quite a few different ways of doing that, that we would normally do with adults, but I've adapted them and changed them so that they're kind of more child friendly, I guess.
I do know for a fact that a lot of hypnotherapists are a little bit intimidated with working with children because they can be very unpredictable. And
Yes.
sometimes they kind of think, oh, do I really want to work with this child in case they don't like me? Or, there is an interesting rawness to a child, because a child will either take to you or they won't. And I think that can be tricky. You've got the parents sort of hoping that you can help them, and they come in, and there's something really beautiful about that magic between you engaging their potential and their imagination, and them having some ownership over that, rather than the child going in and being talked at.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the first things that I do, when kids come in, is I will generally give them some paper and some colouring pens. We've got lots of toys around the room so that they can pick up the things that they're interested in. I've got, magic wands and dinosaurs and Lego and all kinds of stuff, that so I can kind of gauge when they come in what they kind of move towards, and the things that they pick up and things that they're interested in. And from that, we can start, generally, depending on the age of the child, but we generally start with playing and drawing and talking.
What's the youngest age that people would bring their children into you to seek some help?
Yeah, it's interesting, because I would have said 5 is, my youngest. But recently I've seen quite a few children that have been about 3 or 4, and mainly around medical issues, things like constipation, where there's a fear that's been built up around something that's happening with their body. And so through what I would term kind of hypno playing, we would act out some of the things that are happening, make it silly, make it fun. I've got a little girl at the moment who has trouble with constipation, and so the first thing we do is we drew all around her on a massive piece of paper, and we talked about all the different things that were inside her body, and we had these little stones that we could move down through the slide. So it's a little bit of education around, what the issue is, but then bringing that, amazing sense of imagination to it and autonomy, so that she could, make things softer or make things bigger or add on doors and all sorts of lovely things inside her body, so that she could see how she could, have a little bit more control over that.
Nice. So look, one of the things that people probably ask is, what's in it for me if I come to this conference? What do you want to be able to offer those curious people who are sitting there? What are they in for?
Yeah. Well, a funny ride, I guess, would be one of the things that I'd like to offer. And let everyone connect into that inner child themselves, because that's where our imagination lies. And if you are thinking about working with children, if you do have that passion to if we could let every child know how amazing their mind is, I think we would solve nearly every problem on earth. So from a big picture perspective, I'd love them to see the potential in being able to help kids, even if it's the kids that in their own family or around them. And we can use conversational hypnosis, we can use play, but all about helping them to really change their mindset around how they view themselves and the world.
Nice. Is there anything else you would like to share with the audience today that might be useful or interesting? Any
Yeah.
tips or tricks
Well,
that you'd like to leave them with?
I guess one of the things that I'd love to share is that I'm going to be talking about working with kids, and a protocol that I've come up with that I think is just the most amazing thing for children, but also you can use it with adults. It's totally transferable, and it works really well with adults when they connect into that inner child part of themselves. And so, yeah, I just want everyone to bring their best child self and be ready to be silly and have fun.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for sharing a little bit with us today, Sarah. And I'm for sure looking forward to all the speakers and connecting in person with everyone. I think it's special not to just do things online, but to actually come together as a group of like-minded people and really share, and from those resources go away and play.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head. As hypnotherapists, we're often in our own little world. We see our clients, but we don't have that connection with others. And I think this is going to be the most amazing opportunity to share ideas and, lift each other up, so that we can really, go out there and do what we do best, which is, make the world a better place.
Nice. So if anyone is keen on getting a ticket to this year's conference, you can click the link below and come on board. We have two separate prices, one for members of the NZAPH, the New Zealand Association of Professional Hypnotherapists. And if you actually are a hypnotherapist, haven't joined us yet, of course you can join, and then you can get the discount. So, that's a bonus. But look, thank you very much again, Sarah, for your time today. And yeah, looking forward to October. Bring it on.
Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to seeing all the speakers too. It's going to be awesome.